Kill Boko Haram.
If you're a Muslim, you're a target. If you're a Christian, you're a target. They slaughter people like animals.
Your wife, she...
captured by Boko Haram.
We just got word that the Mi-24 Hind is going on operation for air support.
I want to fight for my country. And if I die for my country, I know I die for my country.
We're going to head down that IED-laden road for the final assault into Bama.
Yes, sir. Let me leave this.
I'm in Nigeria. It's one of the wealthiest countries in Africa, but since 2009, it's been facing an insurrection in the north from a group called Boko Haram. I traveled to Nigeria to embed with the country's army as it ramped up its fight against Boko Haram. As the only journalist on the front lines, I arrived at a unit located less than a kilometer away from enemy forces. As we settled in for our first night in country, we quickly discovered how frequently this unit engages in combat. For me, the first indication that there's enemy activity is, or that there's a threat detected, is I hear one of these guns shooting a shell. So you do this every night, pretty much?
Every night.
So they just blasted off a 122 millimeter shell. They shot it, I think you said, almost 9 kilometers downrange into enemy territory.
The most important thing is that once we sight them, either they are vehicle or they are motorcycle, we have to fire the general area.
It's very effective, yes?
Very, very effective.
Scared me. Nigeria is almost equally divided along religious lines. The country's southern region is predominantly Christian and is home to oil and a thriving economy. The north of the country, on the other hand, has a majority Muslim population. With minimal natural resources, the north is extremely poor. Couple that with the lack of government presence, and it's become a breeding ground for the rise of radical Islam. In 2002, Muslim cleric Muhammad Yusuf founded the group Boko Haram. The name loosely translates to Western education is forbidden. So Muhammad Yusuf, the founder, grew up right over there.
Yes.
And then his mosque is right here.
Yeah.
And so this is literally where Boko Haram started.
Yes.
And you know, most of these young men ended up killing their parents.
What?
Their parents, their families, their friends. They have a list. They go one after another.
In 2009, after Nigerian security forces killed Yusuf, his deputy, the more radical Abu Bakar Shekau, took over the group and violence increased exponentially. They bombed the UN headquarters in Nigeria's capital city, Abuja, in 2011. But the group was still largely unknown outside of Nigeria. It wasn't until 2014, with the abduction of nearly 300 schoolgirls from Chibok town in Borno State, that Boko Haram drew international attention and condemnation.
My husband and I are outraged and heartbroken over the kidnapping of more than 200 Nigerian girls from their school dormitory in the middle of the night.
The Bring Back Our Girls campaign was extremely successful at increasing awareness of Boko Haram. Unfortunately, it did almost nothing to prevent further attacks, and Boko Haram continued to terrorize northern Nigeria, causing thousands of refugees to flee their homes in rural areas and head to the city of Maiduguri. I met one family who's living among a community of refugees.
My name is Bukar Mohammed. This is Aliu Bukar. This is Mohammed Bukar.
And this is the smallest one.
Alaji Modu. Mohammed.
Bukar's entire family was abducted by Boko Haram. They managed to escape by fleeing into the bush.
I had a gunshot. I said, what? I was thinking maybe soldiers, armies now. So the gunshot was too much. I said, no, this thing not be an army.
When you left for Niger, And they were in Damasak. They were captured by Boko Haram?
Yeah, they were captured by Boko Haram.
Right. And your wife, she was detained along with many other women? With all the other women in one house?
Yes.
To mun sati kusan uku a hannunsu sai suka ce to ku tafi yau, wanda zai tafi ya tafi, wanda zai iya zama ya zauna. To mun shiga jeji muna gudu ma suka fara harbi mu da bindiga jeji din. Muna gudu muka je kan iyaka din, sai sojoji Nijar su ma sun fito sun zo suna ce tunda an kore ku mu ba za mu kiku ba.
And your son, they sent to training camp?
Oh yes, training camp. When the boy jumped over the fence, so he said he must go and see his mommy. Yes.
So he escaped?
Fortunately, just escaped.
What has the effect of Boko Haram been on northern Nigeria?
These people, they are just devil. You can't say they are doing it for religious purposes. No. Yes, they are just devil. They are doing it unnecessarily. They can kill the Christians, they can kill the Muslims. They can just doing it anyhow.
You said that things are difficult for you now. You're having trouble sleeping, and you said you're not thinking.
No, it's true. It's true, because I've been thinking of how they came and disturbed me from where I'm living. I've been drinking. It's only my brothers that can help me eating food. You know, it's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy. Yes.
Outside, I met Elijah, who was also a victim of Boko Haram.
So these people came inside two vans around the side, and beneath were bombs. So one of the bombs erupted and killed so many children like this. After the first bomb, some of my children, my child and some of his colleagues, they all run to rescue the victims of that bomb blast. So as a result of them withdrawing or evacuating the dead bodies, the second bomb erupted and killed almost all of them. We lost up to 35 youths.
Including your son?
Including my son.
And why did Boko Haram attack this area?
They attacked because they targeted populations. They are targeting populations, gatherings of people. Right. Wherever there is a crowd, that's their target.
You said many of these children here, their families are victims?
Most of them, they are victims of Boko Haram because some of their families has been displaced from various villages. If you are a Muslim, you are a target. If you are a Christian, you are a target. They slaughter people like animals, which is not part of Islamic doctrine.
Yeah. During the day, there's a ton of street life in Madaguri. There's people in the market, school kids, all that stuff. You have to remember you're in an active conflict zone. So come dusk, like 6:30 or 7 o'clock at night, the streets empty out and everybody has to be in their homes because of this 7 p.m. curfew that's been instituted. On our way back from speaking with Elijah, we stopped at a local market to buy goods. It felt safe, but 2 days after our visit here, a Boko Haram suicide bombing killed 54 people. Because of the security situation in the entire region, President Goodluck Jonathan declared a national state of emergency. In an unprecedented and highly criticized move, he delayed the national elections scheduled for this past February. The president believed if he destroyed Boko Haram, his election victory was assured. This belief led to a massive escalation of force, combining troops from Niger, Cameroon, and Chad. And even that time-honored African conflict tradition, the use of private military contractors. Collectively, with the Nigerian army, they would try to end the war against Boko Haram. So formerly this, what appears to be abandoned building, was the departure lounge of the Madaguri airport before Boko Haram seized this town, and basically no civilian flights have gone out of here in 2 years. Now it's become the ammo supply point, the logistical hub for the Nigerian army, and they're actually going to make their departure from here into the areas that are still controlled by Boko Haram. I had the opportunity to sit down with Private Jeremiah Friday, who's stationed at the de facto staging base at the Madaguri airport. Jerry, as his squad mates call him, is a proud ranger in the 72nd Paratroop Unit based out of Makudi in Benue State. Along with 300 of his fellow soldiers, he's preparing for war. Jerry, how do you feel about the effort against Boko Haram? Do you think this is important?
Yeah,
we need to come here so that we can settle the peace, because the innocent have been dying. They've been killing the innocent. So people have run away from their homes, make them homeless. Those that are in school, they make them run away from school. The business, no business no anymore.
You feel good about going after Boko Haram?
Yeah, I want to fight for my country. And if I die for my country, I know I die for my country. When the Boko Haram started, they were like burning churches. So people thought they were Muslims. What are these people? They fight the Christian, they fight the Muslim. So nobody know about them. We believe they are devils. They don't have heart. So they are not Christian. To me, they are not Muslim.
And here in your unit, you have Muslims and Christians, right?
Yeah. We love each other. The Muslim pray, the Christian sit around, watch them as budi, no problem. The Muslim and the Christian, we are all good. We are friends, brothers. We pray together. The Muslim go to mosque, the Christian go to church. We pray finish, we come back to Muster Parade. Everybody's fine, no problem.
I saw you doing the bench press the other day.
Wow. Yeah, just do
you have to train, right?
Yeah.
You have to be ready.
Train hard, fight easy.
Yeah.
So I believe when I train hard, I'll fight easy. Yeah. And when you train hard, you bleed less during the wartime.
While Private Friday's platoon was preparing for an offensive, we got word that a Nigerian outpost was attacked by Boko Haram, and there were 2 wounded soldiers who needed medevac. We hopped a ride to join one forward unit tasked with defending the front line in the city of Kondaga. Their location was 35 kilometers from Maiduguri, at the very edge of the conflict where no journalist had previously been allowed. So the men of the 103rd Battalion have been deployed here for almost a year. They come from all over Nigeria. This particular fire base, it's basically loaded with ammunition and weapons. You can see even here behind me, this is where somebody sleeps among these ammo containers, and that's because this is the very front line of the fight against Boko Haram. This particular fire base has been attacked 13 times, most recently just last week. But the guys here are very proud of the fact that this village has never been overrun since they've been deployed here. And they've suffered only a single combat loss, and that's when one of their fellow soldiers was shot in the head and killed by a sniper right over the wall.
Let them come. If they come now, you see what will happen. Ooh, ta 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 ta. We'll kick their ass. We'll kick their fucking ass, motherfuckers. Cut them. I have my commando knife. I slaughter Boko Haram with this. I used to slaughter them with this. When I get them, I slaughter them.
The formation that they're using to push into Boko Haram territory is an arrowhead formation. So the rest of the forces flank out in this direction, and at the very tip is this T-72 tank and these trenches, these 4-foot deep trenches that are dug behind me. And why is this place significant?
Because, as I used to say, I have a small sketch I used to discuss with people about. If this place is captured, Boko Haram will have easy access to Maiduguri. So this place is very vital because it's an access from the Sambisa forest just to the south, not far away from here. Like 6 kilometers away from here is the Sambisa forest.
And we know since the Nigerian army's been on the offensive that they've been fleeing to the Sambisa forest, right?
Yes.
And they take refuge in there.
Yes.
And then they come out and they try and approach this area.
Yes.
One thing that I noticed about observing your unit is that you have staff officers, but your staff officers are in the trench also.
Yes.
There's nobody back at headquarters.
Yes.
You're the intel officer, and this is your trench, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Everybody is a trained infantry officer, and everybody is deployed in the field as first, primarily as a soldier.
Yeah, this is your office in many ways.
Yes.
You have a tent over there where you keep your things.
Yes.
But primarily you sleep and live here.
Yeah, of course.
So you sleep right here.
Yeah, I put my camp bed here, I sleep here.
Yeah, and why is that?
Yes, here you don't sleep far away from your trench because these people could crawl. When they crawl, they come close to your trench and begin to engage you. So you have to be close enough. There is a bigger sentry there that observes the activities of the night.
Yes.
Those ones do not sleep absolutely. They have 2-hour shift. After 2 hours, another person comes in. But you have to be here so that once you hear any firing, you dash in and then you return fire.
When this fire base gets attacked by Boko Haram, everybody comes and jumps in this trench and starts firing back. You can see they've basically shot the shit out of that series of buildings that the Boko guys have been attacking from. And if you look at this berm right here, it's just littered with shell casings. Captain Michela was another soldier who had a special relationship to Maiduguri.
It happens to be my state. As I'm talking to you, my parents are in Maiduguri. They have been displaced from my own village, Shafa. So, what do you expect me to do? Yeah. I just have to do this. Even if I'm here, even if I'm not here, if I am asked, will you come here voluntarily, I will come because my family is in Maiduguri.
And they attack from the school?
Yeah.
That's why it's all shut up. Yeah. So that was a school right there?
That is school.
How do you ever think about like, oh my God, we're shooting at a school?
You don't think of that one because you only think of what the enemy can do and you don't allow them to get to you.
Yeah.
Because once you allow them to overrun you, then things will get worse. Over 20 different attacks and I believe over 1,000 Boko Harams died here.
You've killed over 1,000 Boko Haram here?
Different attacks, yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. We will protect wherever we are deployed with our lives. Here, every soldier is ready to die defending this ground. Here. And here we live, we are one family here.
While the 103rd is at the tip of the spear, they're supported by more forces camped out at a former school 1,000 meters behind the front line. So basically this is the old Kunduga Girls Elementary School. It's now being occupied and used as the brigade headquarters for the Army. You have soldiers sleeping in classrooms. The old principal's office is now the operations office. So this used to be the guidance counselor building. Now it's a depot for ammunition. RPG rounds laying around. So this one's the old mathematics lab. You can see this is where the students used to stay and study. Still says mathematics and ratio on the board. You can see this whole place is just bombed out. Two schools that used to be places of learning and education had now become graveyards. For 6 months, the 103rd Battalion has been in a stalemate with Boko Haram in Kunduga. Other advances have pushed the remaining Boko Haram fighters to a defensive position in the city of Bama, one of the last strongholds of Boko Haram. Despite 3 failed attempts, the 103rd is making a final advance on the city. The combat started 24 hours prior to the ground assault. With a kill zone of 100 meters, each shell was eliminating all life within the size of a football field. The thing to remember is that this isn't a practice range. The front is right there. The next objective, Bama, is right there. And they're lobbing these 155 high explosive howitzer shells 13 miles downrange into enemy territory. After bombarding the enemy for hours on the eve of the ground invasion, the soldiers made a ceremonial toast, knowing that for some of them, it could be their last.
You that have kept us alive, Father, search our heart. We'll fight again. We'll fight again. It's not by our strength, but it's by your grace. You gave us everything.
And what we'll do when we're done, do this.
Areboko.
You know what it means?
Come, let's fuck your ass.
You know what it means? No. That means you adhere to the prayers that were taken.
Very nice.
And now you are free to cheers.
Very well said. Cheers.
It's better life.
It's better life.
Auntie.
Focus!
Auntie!
Okay, sir.
Come.
Yes, sir. Let me leave this place for you.
Get out from here! You're my godfather.
It's about midnight. on the front lines. Soldiers are relaxed. They basically don't go to sleep because they stay up all night and sleep during the day in case there's Boko Haram attacks. So if anything happens, jump right in this trench. That's it. That's life on the front lines.
My aim is to keep Boko Haram. God damn it. See, every time. Our job here is to keep Boko Haram.
That fucking thing every time.
Who killed them? We are waiting for Boko Haram. That's it. We are waiting for Boko Haram. Kill. That's the only thing I know is to kill. Kill Boko Haram.
It's 5 a.m. before one of the advanced movements forward into Boko Haram territory, and the guys are doing a church service prior to the operation. The Nigerian Army unit that I'm embedded with is gearing up for a final assault on one of the last Boko Haram strongholds. So once the unit is fully up and ready to go and all the troops are assembled, we're going to head down that IED-laden road for the final assault into Bama. We're on a patrol in a queue of about 300 to 400 soldiers moving towards Bama. These guys are on a foot patrol. They're staying in one line with some tanks at the front and some support vehicles at the back because the road's supposed to be lined with IEDs, so it's safer than sort of flanking out in a tactical direction. And basically, they're advancing to a point where they're going to dig in, and the other assault force is going to come from the left flank. But right now we're doing about a 4-kilometer walk to the objective. You can see all of these villages to my left and right, which used to be fully occupied, and now they're shot out and abandoned. It's a consequence of the Boko Haram insurgency and the campaign against them. A little further up the road, we passed a Nigerian armored vehicle. It had hit an IED a week before on one of the failed attempts to take Bama. All 4 soldiers inside were killed. So because the Nigerian army hasn't pushed this far forward, this has mainly been either a no man's land or Boko Haram territory. All of these houses are abandoned. Sometimes Boko Haram fighters live in them. And one of the things you notice when you drive through is, other than the soldiers, it's eerily quiet out here. In the middle of the road right there is the EOD, the Explosive Ordnance Disposal Officer from the 103rd Battalion. They found a divot in the middle of the road that they're now probing with sticks to see if it's an IED. Shitty part is that we just rolled right over that divot in our convoy. The tanks returned after doing forward reconnaissance. There had been a blue-on-blue incident, otherwise known as friendly fire. Apparently 2 soldiers had been killed when the fire force approaching from the left flank had mistaken another unit for Boko Haram. The invasion of Bama was stalled. The 103rd was ordered to spread out and hold their position. They dug in and prepared for a night in the bush. I caught wind that another assault was planned for the following morning. This time it would be led from the air. So I hustled back to the Maiduguri airport, where I hoped to catch a ride with the air assault force on one of the Mi-24 Hind attack helicopters.
Okay, it's 5 in the morning. Today is the most significant day so far in the campaign against Boko Haram. This morning starts the invasion of Bama. So I'm going to be in one of the attack helicopters, the Mi-24. That's going to commence the attack, after which the ground forces are going to move in and attempt to rout Boko Haram from the city of Bama.
The private military contractors provided technical advice to the 72nd Mobile Strike Force. In addition, they provided a fully operational air wing. We were able to accompany the air wing for the first part of the assault on Bama. The Mi-24 Hind attack helicopter is basically a flying tank. It was built by the Russians during the Cold War and can fire up to 4,000 rounds a minute. It's truly a devastating piece of military hardware and a game changer for the Nigerian army. After 2 hours, the helicopter assault team returned to base. The ground forces would move in. I waited on the tarmac for reports from the ground forces. Within 24 hours, we learned that the assault was a success. Boko Haram was routed from one of its major bases, scattering the few remaining fighters into the Sambisa forest. The following day, Nigerian tanks rolled through Bama with President Goodluck Jonathan in the lead. This marked the first time a Nigerian president was able to enter Bama since the beginning of the insurgency. Much attention has been given to the reports that foreign military contractors were involved in the war against Boko Haram. While the fog of war always blurs the line between multiple sets of combatants and non-combatants, and there were many actors involved from neighboring Chadian forces to private contractors, it was my experience, embedded on the ground, that this was a Nigerian military victory. Despite the success of his army, President Goodluck's luck ran out. 1 week after the assault on Bama, he lost the election to his opponent, former General Muhammadu Buhari. But the battle is far from over. The new president has promised the people of Nigeria he will finish the fight against a weakened Boko Haram. This will not be easy. The next stage of combat is likely a complicated counterinsurgency battle, an unconventional fight against an unconventional enemy. But for the Nigerians who have been living in terror for years, and for the soldiers who have been fighting Boko Haram, there finally exists some glimmer of hope.